Michael Kubria on Facebook. What's the best advice Joan ever gave you?
Keep going no matter what, and also never hold back. You know, like when we talked about when, you know, she, of course, would do the infamous Bob Hope USO tours. So I called her when I was going to Afghanistan and said, how do I talk to these young men and women? And she said, they've been through everything. Do not hold back no matter what they told you. And she was right.
Ricky Hartman asks, what's something about Joan that most people don't know that Joan herself wouldn't mind you sharing?
Well, that's tricky because we would often joke about how most people don't know how incredibly sweet she was. And she would say, you know, that's not good for the career if people think I'm sweet. But I think, you know, the documentary A Piece of Work is a must watch because that really points out who she really was.
She was gutsy to let that go because it was warts and all. It
was warts and all. And also it really showed, I think, it captured who she really was. So I would suggest people watch that film.
At Jude here on Twitter, why did Joan Rivers like your comedy enough to mentor you?
You know, gosh, we really hit it off as friends. I don't think Joan saw my act for the first few years we were buddies. And then, like when I was doing my Broadway show, called it Kathy Griffin Wants a Tony at the Belasco Theater on Broadway. And she came to see me one night, and in typical Joan fashion, I said to her 15 minutes before curtain, hey, I need you to introduce me. Fine, no problem. So it was called Kathy Griffin Wants a Tony. So she actually went out in front of the audience. The audience went crazy. She had a bag of Tony Curtis's ashes. She said, I brought you a Tony for your show called Kathy Griffin Wants a Tony. And she was throwing these fake ashes all over, and the audience went crazy. And I only gave her 15 minutes notice.
At artist Tadid Tucson on Twitter, what's the funniest last thing Joan said to you?
Oh, I can't even go there. I mean, we would be so inappropriate and so wrong that, like, half the time, you know, like, I would be saying, like, okay, let's not shout that, because we just talk smack about everybody. But I will say she ordered from the server. She said, I would like the largest glass of wine in America. And I said, really, the entire country? She was like, get it. So I thought that was kind of cute. She always had a driver. She wasn't pulling a Paris Hilton.
At Greg Schmeltzer via Twitter, why didn't you and Joan ever do a special together?
You know, I don't know. We honestly talked about it a lot, and frankly, her schedule was so packed with everything from the web show to the reality show to Fashion Police to QVC. I don't know that we could have aligned our schedules, but trust me, I would have loved to. You know, she co-headlined with Rickles, she co-headlined with Joy Behar, and they would do shows together, and it would have been a blast. Maria Kim on Instagram, did Joan ever provide any dating tips? Yes, she provided a key dating tip, which is, I would always talk to her before really committing to a serious relationship. And she said something very important to me and specific to something only she could speak to, which is she said, we all make our own deals. And we would joke about how being girl comics and being, you know, body and in the spotlight. And she was obviously a woman of means, as you know, and that people would often tell both of us, oh, you should only be, we used to joke about Larry Ellison, you know, from Oracle. The head of Oracle. And, you know, we would joke about how our friends would say, well, you should be with a guy like Larry Ellison, a billionaire who's got his own empire, and he won't feel emasculated by you. And we would laugh about how that just wasn't our situation. And if that was the case, we would joke about how we would never see Larry Ellison very much because he'd be doing his thing in the America's Cup. And she said, we all make our own deals. And she said, you know, at a certain point in your life, you want someone who can really be with you. And it's not about... You have someone now, right? Yeah, and so obviously I've been with this guy for over 3 years, and when I first started dating him, I said, well, what do you think? He's, you know, he's 18 years younger, and, you know, he's like an executive, he's not used to the spotlight, but, you know, I said, the age difference is pretty significant this time. And she just said, isn't it fabulous? That was her advice. Like, enjoy it, why not? Enjoy your relationship. Didn't you once date a billionaire? Oh, Steve Wozniak, yeah. But I, co-founder of Apple. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he also was he lives in Los Gatos, and he is obviously still involved in the tech world, and we would see each other occasionally. I loaned him a lot of money. Met Bermudez on Instagram. If there's one thing you want the world to know about Joan, what is it? Her true legacy of being a woman who made history over and over and over, and in my opinion, didn't really get that credit. And I think she's getting it now, and that's something that I'm happy to talk about, because there are things that you still need to point out about Joan.
Watch new episodes of Larry King Now, Monday through Thursday, on demand on Hulu and Aura.tv.